Yes, that's right. The Survivor Know-It-Alls are back together after a 1-week hiatus. Stephen Fishbach and
I fled the country, Rob. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't deal with it last week.
Yeah, that's what the theories were.
Yeah, actually, I was in Mexico for my father's birthday, and actually, it's not that I left the country because JT was voted out, but JT asked me when I would be out of the country, and he arranged his elimination accordingly.
Yes, he said, I'll try to get voted out that day. Why? Why would he want to be voted out on a day?
He knew it would be hard for me to talk about. He was doing me a solid, as always.
All right. Well, we can get more into that, but we have to talk about our top story at this hour.
John Cochran.
That's part of it, Stephen Fishbach. Oh. Sandra Diaz-Twine, for the first time, has been voted out. And I have to add that the queen stays queen, Stephen Fishbach.
Someone's got to add that.
I have to add that. And I mean that in the most, I'm not trying to be ironic or sarcastic. I am saying 100% that I was so impressed with the game that she played in this season, and especially tonight in her elimination. To last 16 days, I thought she would be the first one out.
16 days and a lot of tribal councils, too.
Yeah. I didn't think she'd get out of the first 2-night premiere of the show. Here she is, and this might have been the biggest game she played in 3 tries.
Well, it's interesting because I was actually, for my blog, I was doing my research, and I went back and, was reading some of her past tribal council, final tribal statements, and certainly in Pearl Islands, the thing she said was like, the reason that I'm here is because I was overlooked. People were dealing with other problems. And that was, I think, true in Heroes Villains as well, right? She managed to kind of slip under the radar. Coming in this time, she was a huge threat and a huge target, and she couldn't slip under the radar. And it was really impressive to see the way that she completely adapted her game. This isn't someone who has one speed and is going to go at that speed no matter what the surrounding situation is. She knew she was a big target, so she played a big game.
Yeah, and it's really ironic that this is almost the identical spot where she almost got voted out in Heroes versus Villains, where it was down to her and Courtney, and they had to make a decision. Who are we going to go home? Who are we going to send home? Who do we not want to be with us at the merge? They let Sandra stick around. Ultimately, she wins that season. So much to talk about here tonight. And what is going on with Ty? I don't know. This guy can't stay out of his own way at any of these tribal councils. We've got a lot to get through.
This was pretty epic. There's a lot this episode. There's like a lot to talk about.
The return of John Cochran, the tribe swap, everything going on. So really excited to be back together with you after David Wright stepped in. And I don't know. It might have been an improvement last week.
Like an improvement on me.
It was close.
That's really hurtful, Rob. Why do you got to say something like that? It hurts my feelings. I'm very sensitive.
I know. So just to set things up, so we will have our exit interview with Sandra Diaz-Twine, not a winner interview for the first time ever with Sandra Diaz-Twine. So excited for that on Thursday morning. And then we've got a great week of podcasting. Denise Stapley will join me to talk about Sandra and seeing a winner go out, obviously what happened to Malcolm, and much more. She's a great podcast guest, Denise Stapley. Then Jessica Leese on the Feedback Show this week. But Stephen, I'm also doubly excited that I can't get enough talking about Survivor. I am going to be on some streaming live on the CBS Facebook page tomorrow.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Yes, I will be stepping in.
Do they know? Do they know you're doing it?
No, I'm just going to show up. Yeah, like Coach did that time. I'm just going to show up there.
Yeah. Mind if I join you?
Well, there will be a surprise guest. That will also be there tomorrow as well. So
that was a reference to Cochran's remark. I wasn't actually asking if I could join you.
Oh, okay. So check that out. I believe that streams live on the Survivor Facebook page, I think at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. I will be filling in for the great Bryce Sander as the moderator of that show this week. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, let's get back into this and Sandra. And did you think Sandra was going to pull this out, Stephen?
No, I didn't. But it was really incredible to see her play, and especially when you've got her juxtaposed against Varner, which is a pretty stark contrast. The guy who has not made the jury in his 2 times versus the woman who won twice. And you see how hungry Varner is to believe the things that Zeke is saying, and then you see Sandra be like, that doesn't make sense for them, and I think that I was writing about this in my blog. That's the difference between good play and bad play right there. It's like, do you believe things you want to hear, or do you try to think about what is best for those people, and then how do I, if you can figure out something is best for someone else, that they figured that out too. And then you kind of have to play according to that.
Yeah, and it was so interesting to see the contrast in styles where Jeff was so relieved for Zeke to tell him, yeah, it's not you tonight. It's going to be Ty. He's like, oh, great. Okay, that's been what I've been dying to hear. Yeah. Where Sandra hears that and says, you know what? I need to take matters into my own hands, that I am responsible for how I finish in this game. I can't rely on them just deciding to keep me over somebody else. Like, if they told Jeff Varner, okay, it's going to be Sandra and not you, I think that maybe he could get some more solace from that. But it was the too good to be true scenario that we're not only going to keep you, we're also going to keep Sandra around.
Yeah. And what I loved about, so Sandra then makes her pitch to the group. And what I loved about that pitch was almost less the pitch itself than Sarah's analysis of the pitch, which was that it was not about what she was saying so much as it was about her tone.
It was like something that you would have heard, like, talk about Sandra, like in the Evolution of Strategy, where it's like she was like an outside reporter talking about, here is the style of what makes this person so effective in the game. I love that analysis that she did about Sandra. And I want to get into that tribal council because, to me, 2 and 2 didn't equal 4 at that tribal council. Was that a sketch that the group sort of wanted to make Sandra feel like that she could feel some safety, and they worked that all out with Ty? Was that a live tribal? How did it go from everybody telling them, okay, let's vote Ty, to then everybody voting Sandra, including Ty?
I don't think that group is going to Ty and being like, hey, can you pretend to make a move on Ozzy?
And I agree. Yeah. So how did it end up with not even Ty voting for Ozzy?
Yeah, that was the weird thing. That was the thing. I mean, that was the thing I didn't understand. There's like this giant jump between, and this was fantastic to watch. Ty makes a play on Ozzy, then Sandra immediately says, let's vote out Ty, she was so quick. But and then, nobody votes for Ozzy. And maybe Ty read the room. Maybe Ty read the room correctly. Like, he's shut down by Zeke, right?
Yeah. Also, Ty doesn't play an idol. So it's almost like, did we only see like the first half of a conversation? Did they sort of resolve it? And did cooler heads prevail? Did somebody stand up and say, guys, what are we doing? Let's just vote off Sandra. That's the right move. Did we have Ty do some sort of a loyalty oath to the group? But he felt so safe that he didn't even play an idol.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that there was some piece missing that kind of like made it clear where the votes were going. That obviously they wouldn't show on the show because it made it clear where the votes were going.
Yeah. So Ty, before he left to go out there, I had a opportunity to talk with him. And I said to Ty, don't do anything fancy out there. Just be like the nice guy the provider guy. He's gone out. He's found 3 idols so far in
amazing.
16
That's
days.
The idol record, by the way, with Tony and Russell Hantz.
Yeah. He's on a pace to find like 8 in a season.
Yeah, Ty could pass. Ty could be the #1 idol record holder.
Yeah, somewhere Russell Hantz is furiously tweeting.
Yeah, well, all the time. Do you think it has to do with Ty being a gardener? And I'm totally serious. Like, he's someone who's attuned to the foliage, attuned to like, the world around him. Whereas someone like, me, I can't even like see 2 feet in front of my face.
I don't think it's specifically about being a gardener, but I do think that he's somebody who has talked about that he's like really at one with nature, and he really loves the outdoors and the animals, and sort of like he's comfortable climbing.
The animals don't really help with the idols, though. They
just in terms of being comfortable outside. Stephen, I would hazard to guess that if you were at the park, you would be out of your element and uncomfortable. Whereas Ty, he really, if you took him into a podcast studio, he would be uncomfortable and out of his element.
Well, if it was like an office park.
maybe an office park might be okay. I just think he's very comfortable. He's very aware of his surroundings. He doesn't mind, like, oh, I don't want to climb in there. I'll get dirty. He's just all over the place, and he's always gathering. You always see him with these guy like an armful of sticks around. So he's always like looking and gathering. Like he's very observant.
Yeah, he apparently is always scrambling for idols too, because everyone this episode was like, Ty, you're always looking for idols. He's like, what?
Yeah. And it's really the thing that gets him into trouble. As I said to him before he went out there on that season, I said, because then the more you go and look for the idols, the more people are going to question you about, do you have the idols? What are you going to do with the idols? Who are you loyal with? And then when he has to scramble, he always gets called out and grilled at these tribal councils, and it never goes well. And we always have like where he's trying to keep secrets. He's spilling the secrets. He's such a nice, likable man, but he ends up pissing so many people off because he's always having to lie about what he's up to.
That's just what makes Ty great. You can't like Ty. It's the fact that he does like, get himself into precarious situations he can't really extricate himself from.
Yeah. Let's go back to Sandra here for a little bit, because I was just so impressed with her whole third time out. She came and she played this really big game, Stephen. I don't know if this is the end of Sandra, but just in talking about a potential eulogy to the Sandra trilogy, I almost feel like that this was the game that really helped her legacy the most as an exclamation point after those first two games, because I feel like that the criticism of her was, oh, she just doesn't do anything. It's just anybody but me. She's boring. And she really flipped that around this season.
Yes. Yeah. But almost too much, I mean, I hate to
That's a fair point.
I hate to say anything negative about Sandra, largely because people freak out. But
and by people, you mean
Sandra? No. But who did Sandra target, right? She got rid of JT. She got rid of Tony. These are guys who were big threats. They were other former winners. And then suddenly you have Sandra at this tribal council. She's the biggest threat. She's the only former winner left. So it's like she got rid of those people who were ahead of her in line, and she didn't have to do that.
Yeah, she didn't have to do that. I mean, the Tony thing, we've talked about how that sort of like was a battle between the two of them that got off on the wrong foot. In terms of the JT thing, that, whether it was payback, whether he was the biggest threat, whether he was coming for her, I don't necessarily know if that changes anything if she doesn't make that JT move. But it was just so masterful to watch her at every turn this season, just to see her pull off some of the things that she did. I just was so impressed with what she was able to do, Stephen.
Oh, I know. I mean, I was too, I mean, like you said, everyone, the talking point about her has been, she's a floater. She can't accomplish things. Right. And here you saw her take control of the tribe effortlessly. And that was underscored, right? In those, I think the first episode was just how little effort she put into completely taking control of the tribe. The tribe swaps. Once again, she completely takes control of the tribe. And, is entirely running the show. And, not gameplay we've seen from her before. And really, really exciting. And like I said, like what I think was great about it is certainly the fact that she can do it, but also the fact that she did it because she had to, because she was put in the position of needing to take control. And I think that's stronger, right? Like adapting to the dynamics that you're seeing, rather than just like take control for its own sake.
Yeah. Stephen, does Sandra play a fourth time?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I mean, why not her? You got some of these other bozos.
Right. I mean, I almost equate this to Boston Rob's third time on Survivor, where he ends up going out in Heroes versus Villains in a very similar spot, and it sort of sets the stage for him to come back in Redemption Island. And all Sandra needs to do is like call somebody out at the finale show and like, I'll kick your ass all over some other island at any time. And I think that the crowd goes nuts. No, Sandra, a fourth time, I think everybody would be excited for this, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I don't think she would have the advantage that Rob did going in. I mean, Rob had a giant hiatus between his his second and third times. And people, when they watched Heroes Villains, all they saw was like nice Rob. Rob never had to betray anyone. Rob never had to vote someone out. You know, I think what we saw Sandra this time was the more strategic, you know, devious person in good ways. But I don't think she'll come in with like that sort of, you know, there's nothing better than coming into Survivor with a reputation of being benign, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the best possible way you can come back to a returning season.
But just to fact check you, that Boston Rob played in Survivor All-Stars, came back 12 seasons later.
Oh, you're right.
Survivor Heroes versus Villains. Sandra last played in Heroes versus Villains, comes back 14 seasons later. She actually had a longer layoff than Boston Rob did from the All-Stars.
God, it's crazy. That's nuts. Like at the time, it seemed like it had been forever since Rob played, and now it seems like the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and Rob was really seen very heroically by the majority of the viewers. For some reason, there's been a disconnect where she seems to be really unpopular, especially if you've been to the Survivor Facebook page at all this season.
Listen, I'm with her. You know, you can't look at what Survivor Facebook page says. Those people don't know what they're saying. My apologies if anyone here is on the Survivor Facebook page.
All right. So just in terms of the move, any second guess of getting rid of Sandra over potentially Varner, over potentially Ty, or this was 100% the correct move?
I hate to say it, but I think this was the right move. I mean, you know, certainly Ty has been an ally of these guys for a while. Varner isn't really a threat. I think, you know, makes sense to get rid of Sandra here.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. The way that the tribes shook out, you have a lot of people from the original Nuku. I mean, this has almost been a total pagonging of the original Mana tribe, with only JT being the one person from Nuku who's gone home at this point.
Yeah.
Stephen, we didn't get a chance, speaking of JT, to discuss what happened to your great friend and partner in crime from Survivor, Token Jeans. Did you want to weigh in at all about the JT boot? I know everybody's been waiting to hear what you have to say. Nothing? You have nothing, you have nothing to add?
Look, I was very upset about it. I think that JT made some compelling points. And, you know, I think he was just in a terrible position. You know, I mean, you know, I think, you know, you had a great interview with JT where he said, you know, he didn't think Sandra would make a decision based on anger at what had happened in a previous tribal council. You know, she said this week that's why she did it. She said, I did it because of what happened at a previous tribal council. You know, I think JT is vindicated by that. I mean, that said, I do think, you know, I think,
but isn't that a bad read on JT to think that Sandra's not going to do something spiteful? And she burned Russell Hans's hat.
I guess that's right. I don't know what, I mean, you know, the big criticism that I've seen of JT is that he didn't bring his idol to tribal council, but I actually don't think that's that big a deal. And, you know, I wrote about this in my blog, but, you know, everything on Survivor is so situational. So it's easy when you're analyzing it from the TV, like bring idol or not bring idol, like that's an easy decision to make. Obviously I bring idol, but you know, the challenge of like, well, when you're actually out there, it becomes logistical, right? It's not just like binary. It's a question of logistics. So I have to go out. I have to like walk all the way over to that mountain. I have to dig up my idol. You know, we got an hour before tribal council. If everyone sees me walking away, they're gonna think I'm suspicious. I just don't have time to do it. You know, if you've got, obviously it's an incorrect read, but if you do have a read, sometimes it makes sense to not bring your idol to tribal council. The other thing, I mean, I made the same mistake in Cambodia, not bringing my advantage for the exact same reason to one of the tribal councils, because you know, I thought that I had a read on what was going to happen. I didn't want the advantage with me because I was nervous that it would make me, you know, tribal council isn't really a great place to try to be getting the correct read on what's going to happen. You know, you're so paranoid. Everyone is being like, especially duplicitous. I think it's much harder to figure things out at tribal council than it is, you know, beforehand.
But in the case of JT not wanting to bring the immunity idol with him to tribal council or go get it to not arouse suspicion. I mean, you and I had this conversation back when he took his entire tribe out on the raft, left them out there so he could scurry about and look for the idol. And I believe at that point you argued like, hey, that's good. Everybody knows he's looking for the idol. that's a positive thing where I said, well, maybe he should be trying to make a better social connection with this group.
Yeah, but you can't analyze like two separate things from like two entirely different situations.
But doesn't it help keep the votes off him, even if they suspect he has the idol? Wouldn't that drive more of the votes to Michaela because that's the sure thing?
I think if he thinks he's got the numbers, why you don't want to rock the boat. Whereas when he didn't have the numbers, he really did want to rock the boat, and specifically, he wanted to abandon the boat. Like this video, like right when they swap, right? He's like, I got nobody. I got to make a move. I got to scramble here. And then 2 weeks later, he's thinking like, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. It does not make sense for them to keep Michaela over me. The thing that I don't think he was thinking about was that there was going to be a swap, which this is like you said, like, does he know the game of Survivor versus how to play Survivor? It's harder, if he had guessed that there was going to be a swap the next day, maybe he would have been more likely to play the idol.
Okay.
But it's hard. It's so easy to second guess this kind of thing.
Look, Stephen, I never looked smarter about Survivor than when I stopped playing the game and started talking about it.
There's just no way to know. It's so hard to get it right, and especially when you're the target, because the whole point is that everyone is keeping information from you.
Look, this season's going to end with 19 people who look stupid, one person who looks smart, and us who get to be smart every week.
Although Sandra came out looking quite good.
No, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I
always, this better than anybody. Much harder to go out there and look smart than to be Monday morning or Thursday morning quarterbacks in our case.
And the thing is, the people who go out and play, like, you could just be the victim of bad luck. You could be the victim of circumstance. Then when the story of the show is being told, they have to show what you did wrong, but you may not have actually done anything wrong.
Yeah. I mean, in the case of Sandra tonight, hard to find a flaw with anything that she did, especially, post this swap. What was she going to do? No matter where she was going to go, Mana is down in the numbers. She's such a big threat. This was a really rough situation.
Yeah. Nothing. It's the same situation as JT. Like, how's this any different? Like, she's less down in the numbers than JT was.
Well, I think that the difference with JT is that he had a hidden immunity idol that he found, and he could have played it and not gone home, but he did not.
Right. And the mistake was not bringing the idol, which we've decided was an understandable mistake.
Okay.
Therefore, JT was okay.
Let's talk about the surprise visitor on the episode tonight. A lot of people were saying, could this be a loved one's visit? Maybe a Monica Culpepper. Boston Rob comes to come and build
Boston
the
Rob
shelter.
a loved one for?
Yeah. What's that?
Oh no.
I had theorized maybe Brad Culpepper would go to exile and they would have some sort of loved ones visit. Maybe Monica Culpepper is the person that shows up. But very interestingly, your friend and mine, John Cochran, shows up. So ridiculous. To encounter Debbie. This was really crazy. I feel like that the reactions are a little bit all over the place on this.
Well, tell me what people are saying.
I saw some people excited, other people rolling their eyes about this.
That sounds like the internet.
A very fun segment on the show.
Yeah, it was a really fun segment. I really enjoyed John, and I think this never has to happen again.
Yeah.
Right.
It was very fun. I wouldn't necessarily be against it. I thought it was a bit of a long segment. I thought it was almost to the point where going to exile was like, all right, when are the benefits going to end to this? Yeah. It would have been one thing if she just went on a boat. It would have been another thing if she was on like a real exile island and she got to talk with Cochran. And it would have been a third thing if she went to a real exile island and she got to choose an advantage. Yeah. But to get all of those things, just for not picking a buff. Well, Survivor is so weird sometimes. The same thing happened to Julia Sokolowski in Survivor Co-Wrong. Nothing but bad things happen to her. The same thing happens to Debbie, and good things happen to her.
Well, this is actually one of my complaints with the thing was that it was so much for almost no. That was usually with the exile thing, it's like the winning tribe pick someone from the losing tribe, and then there's some kind of like decision. There's some kind of like volition that's in play. Oh, you picked the person to be the outcast. Well, guess what? She's getting all this cool stuff. But if it's just like you drew this one instead of the other one, like now you're getting all this cool stuff. It felt like disproportionate to what was happening. I thought it was really fun, right? It was. I love the idea of giving someone like a strategy consultation.
Yeah,
And I think Cochran's a really fun
we
person
see this
for it.
kind of thing in Big Brother Canada.
Well,
That's
that's my
happened.
concern. It's like a step to Big Brother. I was talking with yeah, and you never want to take a step in that direction.
Yeah, well, that's definitely something that we've seen happen. Dan Giesling went into the Big Brother Canada house and had a strategy session. I think that maybe John and Netta went back in Big Brother Canada 3 to go and do that same sort of thing. I think maybe Emmett might have even done it in Big Brother Canada 2. But to have Cochran come back, we've never done this type of thing before. But it was such an interesting mismatch of
Oh my God, it was so great. It was so great.
who's, all over the place, and Cochran, and basically for her to say that she wasn't afraid of anything, and Cochran was telling her that you need to be more paranoid.
Afraid, yeah, which is great. It's like these two completely diametrically opposite temperaments. I mean, I think Cochran did a good job of honing in on what Debbie's flaw is, and maybe trying to like nudge her a little bit towards some kind of self-awareness. But did Debbie digest any of that? No.
Yeah, I don't know if you can give Debbie advice. I think that's a really interesting question. Like, I think that he felt like that I need to help her. I need to give her something, but it's almost like you have to be an expert in Debbie to give Debbie advice.
Yeah. And I don't even know, like, if her whole thing is, I'm not worried about it at all. Are you, like the fact of like, oh, are you worried about being away from everybody and everyone talking about you? No. How are you not thinking about that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, but Debbie logic, that based on what we've seen over these last 3 days, the best thing that could happen for Debbie's game is for her to not be around any other players.
Around people. So yeah.
She's only improving her standing with the tribe by going on Exile Island for 3 days.
But I actually thought that the best, what was so valuable about this for Debbie, and again, like this is why I kind of wanted it to be like a special thing that she won, or that she was chosen for, that she was like anti-chosen for, was this emotional release, that you see at the loved one visit. But we also saw with Debbie here. And I think it's because you hold so much in on Survivor that when you actually talk to someone who's not out to get you, you're surviving with people who are literally out to get you. And then when you finally get to talk to someone who's not, it's such an emotional release. And I we see that here. I think that could be a real help for Debbie.
Okay, we'll see how Debbie ultimately does.
But do you think she chose the right reward? What would you do here?
Let's talk through it. So the choices were the Tribe Challenge Advantage, or actually Hidden Immunity Idol Kit was 1, Extra Vote was 2, Tribe Challenge Advantage was 3. I think in order of power, I feel like that the Extra Vote is the most powerful. I feel like the Hidden Immunity Idol Kit is the second most powerful.
Oh, really?
And the Tribe Challenge Advantage is the third most powerful.
I'm not a big fan of the Hidden Immunity Idol Kit. The Tribe Challenge Advantage, that's, you've seen these advantages. They're usually like major advantages. That's basically being able to skip one tribal council. That's basically being able to miss, to guarantee yourself 3 more days in the game. To me, that's a much bigger win than a Hidden Immunity Idol Kit.
Yeah. The Tribe Challenge Advantage is interesting because it's almost like that, going back to the neutral box scenario, it's almost like that you could probably score a lot of goodwill with your tribe.
That's the other thing. That is the other thing.
Yeah. That's a lot of goodwill. But the Hidden Immunity Idol Kit is, really, what's the difference between having a super believable Hidden Immunity Idol and the actual idol?
Well, one works. One can actually save you.
One actually will work. But in a game where there's so much paranoia about, if you just came back and were like, hey, I had the idol, I think it would still be rather powerful.
I don't know. I think that listen, everyone is going to be worried about Debbie having an idol, right? Being away on Exile, which is notorious for having clues to idols and things. People are going to be talking about, does Debbie have an idol? What did she get there? If she can come back and like dangle a necklace, like what does that do? It just makes them like want to target her more. Like let's flush the idol, like that's a no-brainer.
But for Debbie to choose the Extra Vote, I think was the wrong choice.
Oh, you think she should have gone for the idol kit?
Because look, Stephen, we have seen the we have seen the Extra Vote.
Yeah. The Extra Vote thing is a curse. Blah, blah, blah.
No, I don't think it's a curse. I just think it is pretty tricky to figure out. It's
very hard, but nobody knows she has it, right? Versus the other times when people have all known about that there's been some advantage. You think the idol kit? I think by your logic, then she should have gone for the tribe advantage.
I think that for Debbie, if I was Cochran, and I don't know if he was allowed to consult on this, I would say maybe Debbie that this is the one that you should pick because
Which one?
The tribe challenge advantage. Because if anything, you need to restore goodwill.
Right.
You're not going to know the extra vote thing is hard to do.
Yeah.
The hidden immunity idol kit is like that could go either way. But the tribe challenge advantage for you, Debbie. This is what might really put you in a different light.
Right. I don't know. I mean, if I were Debbie, I would still take the extra vote. Like, A, because I'm Debbie and I think, I'm super confident. B, because she's probably not going to be a target right before the merge. So tribe challenge advantage is not that useful to her. And how many challenges are there before the merge? There's like one or two.
One or two. Yeah, we'll see ultimately how it goes. I think we're down to 14 that the Sierra Dawn Thomas legacy advantage it says you have to use it at 13.
Oh, so it's probably a merge at 13.
Presuming a merge at 13. So we will see how.
I haven't seen anything about that legacy advantage playing out. I'm sure it's driving a lot of action over there.
certainly a lot of like wheels in motion here in this game changer season now. I mean, how many active idols do we have? We have Ty has 2 and Troyzan has 1 plus a legacy advantage plus Deb has now the extra vote.
Yeah, a lot going on. I like it. A
lot of action every single episode.
Should we talk about Troyzan and Culpepper?
Sure. That I just wanted to just make one note. I saw that Dom Harvey, a couple other people had said this. What an incentive for a team not to be throwing the immunity challenge tonight to get rid of a player. That whoever loses this challenge is going to get Debbie. I mean, but imagine a scenario where, let's say Ozzy went to Exile Island and you had the loser of this challenge gets Ozzy. Now, does that sort of like really entice both teams into some sort of a throw off? And have we ever seen that before where both tribes are trying to throw a tribe challenge?
There's probably, though, like, don't you want to get Debbie? Like, don't you want to get someone, you want to have as much leverage. You don't want the other people to have, to get rid of someone they don't want and replace them with someone who they can like work into their strategy.
So you feel like that there's value in that Debbie is an expendable vote. You can get her and then be able to sort of not target any of your core
or
people.
Like you're allied with Debbie. I'm sure there are people over there who are like, I need to get Debbie back on my side. Like, in these, we haven't seen Debbie as being a core of any alliance except the Culpepper Sierra alliance. But I mean, these games, everyone's got like 1,000 different branched connections, and one more branch.
If you're Aubrey, I don't think you're dying to get Debbie on your team.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Troyzan and Brad Culpepper. A very interesting scenario over there. Again, a lot of men also, and it's a lot of people voted out from Mana, and a lot of people who are a Mana getting voted out of this season. And so we have now the dream team is ready to go. Brad Culpepper and Troyzan.
Troyzan is going like full Jack Sparrow over there too. That one confessional he did, he was like, he got all the thing.
Yes. If you can name a more iconic Survivor pair, I'll wait.
And Culpepper and Troyzan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many Survivor fan fiction have been written about if Brad Culpepper and Troyzan could ever get together on one season. The wish fulfillment is here, Stephen.
I like that they pretend they don't know who each other are.
Yeah, hold on a second. Didn't you play with? You were on that season that my wife was on, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and weren't you up in the running for that second chance?
Yeah. Didn't we? Yeah, communicate an awful lot during that period. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Outrageous.
I mean, who could imagine strange bedfellows, Troyzan and Brad Culpepper now?
No, like the least strange like the most expected bedfellows.
Yeah. Hey, Brad Culpepper was asked before the season if you could vote out anybody on day one, who would it be? He wrote on his card Troyzan. He said, "Hey, what kind of name is Troyzan? I'd never work with a guy like that."
Yeah.
So, Stephen,
now they are.
Yeah, it's happening. So you have the bro down between Brad Culpepper and Troy Zan together now with all of these women. Sierra Dawn Thomas is there. It almost seemed like that Brad Culpepper was aware of the pregame alliance that Sierra Dawn Thomas talked about from the pregame interviews with Troy Zan. He was like, "Hey, I'm here. I got Sierra, so you're good."
Oh, did Sierra have a thing with Troy Zan pregame?
Yes. Sierra Dawn Thomas and Troy Zan. Sierra had talked about in her interviews that was somebody that she was very close with, Troy Zan.
I hate this pregame stuff.
Hey, Stephen, look, don't hate the players, hate the game.
No. I love the game. I hate the players.
Yeah. All right. So we have an interesting three of Sierra, Troy Zan, Brad Culpepper. They need a four. I mean, is it Haley Ford?
Well, I feel like Haley and Brad are not on the best of terms over.
All right,
there.
let me give you the candidates here.
Yeah.
Aubrey.
Okay.
Haley Ford.
That's good. Okay.
Michaela Suri. Which of those four is more likely to be able to join them?
Aubrey.
Yeah, does she have any connective tissue to that group? I mean,
no, but she's been like playing the sort of sidekick to the big guy. You know, she was Tony's sidekick, then she was JT's sidekick. So I feel like she would naturally be able to kind of, slide into that role.
She was on the opposite side of Troy Zan back at the original Mana, though, that she was one of the people that was sort of like in the crosshairs.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. It doesn't mean that they have like bad blood necessarily.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily on the same page either. I'm trying to think. Totally. I mean, Haley Ford to me is the one that seems to make the most sense.
If you think that Aubrey and Troy Zan have bad blood from happening to have been on opposite sides of the Sandra Tony feud, but like Haley and Brad actually can't stand each other, and Haley's like, vote out Brad.
You feel like Haley was saying vote out
Brad? Target strength, guys. Target strength.
Yeah, I thought she was saying Malcolm.
I thought maybe she was being like, Brad.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that they could work together.
I don't know. I mean, in that whole like, hey, Blue Eyes, remember that moment? And she was like, I'm against you. Like, I'm on the bottom in this group.
What about Michaela? What about Michaela as somebody who could be with that group? I mean, that she was on the same side of the voting aisle as Troy Zan back in the beginning.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think?
I told you, I think that Haley is the person that I think that just like the relationship between Sierra and her, I think is strong enough where they feel that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I mean, the being on the same season thing is probably not irrelevant. I got my money on Aubrey. I like Aubrey's odds in terms of,
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we get to some of the questions?
No, that's fun. That's great to be talking to you again, Rob. I missed you last week.
It's very fun. Who you
had a great time with David Wright without me.
Well, you wouldn't know. You didn't watch the show.
I'm going to. I will now that I know that I have to see.
I mean, it'd be nice if you did the show without me. I'd watch it.
Yeah, that's nice.
So who's getting the fishy tonight? Zeke?
Yeah.
Okay, fishy for Zeke. There you go.
Zeke, we didn't talk about this. Let's talk about Zeke and the whole thing. I mean, he had Varner, what do you think of this though? What do you think of the whole like Zeke lying to Varner thing?
Well, I thought it was good. What do you have an issue with it? You feel like it was bad?
No, I think it is good. But I've always been like dubious about like lying. I mean, granted, like Varner is allies with Sandra, so in that respect you have to. But like the whole like lying to people, like being the person to lie to someone, it just like breeds mistrust. I remember. Oh, go ahead.
I feel like it's almost that. It's almost a bit worse, I feel like, to just be like, I don't know. Don't ask me. It's almost like, come on, you know what's going on. Just tell me. Mm-hmm. It's almost like at least you foster the good relationship, and then after the fact, say, "Look, I couldn't tell you. Like, what do you want me to do?" As opposed to sort of like being sort of like adversarial with that person for 3 days. Yeah,
I don't know. I was thinking back in Cambodia, and Jeremy really insisted that we not tell Spencer and Wigglesworth about voting out Monica. And I always felt like that kind of like built up mistrust in that group. Obviously, I'm still, dealing with my own wounds. Let's go to the questions.
And here we go. Of course, make sure that you don't miss any of the podcasts coming up the next couple of days by subscribing. robisawebsite.com/iTunes. And we always appreciate your feedback and star ratings. Let's kick things off. Harper Elizabeth wants to know, Stephen, these people have eaten more on this season than I ate on Thanksgiving. The amount of the reward food is nuts. Okay. What are you going to do? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Edward Morris wants to know, will Sandra come back? I think I think she will.
It'll be so fun to see her come back. Sandra said tonight she'll be the only person to ever win the game twice.
That's probably. Oh, really? Who's it going to be? Rob? Boston Rob?
I think there will be a all-winner season.
Oh,
and unless Sandra wins it a third time, there will be a winner of the all-winner season.
That's probably right.
Yeah. And there will be another two-time winner. But will that person have a blemish? I mean, will they have played another time? Who knows?
Who knows?
Wouldn't that be something? You think that in an all-winner season, Sandra would be the biggest target?
No.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how Sandra would play in a season that had multiple threats, where she sort of like stood out here. And I've talked about this, where I feel like that the casting was a little top heavy.
Yes. Where it was
got brought back.
Yeah. Like Tony and Sandra were such big threats coming out of the gate. Like they were sort of in this terrible position. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see if she could scale it back again.
Yeah. I bet she could. I thought she adapted so well this time. It was really amazing.
Okay, Stephen. What about Debbie's evil twin?
Debbie's evil twin wants to know, is there any way Ty can get back in the graces of the tribe? What if he gave them his idols as a gesture of good faith? Well, I don't think that's going to actually help anyone. You never give your idol away, as Marty Piombo taught us in Nicaragua.
I don't know, Stephen. I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss that. If you're Ty,
give the idol away?
Because you always have idols. Okay, everybody, here's my idols. I have nothing. I want to be 100% loyal, a grand gesture. He can find more later. What do you think about that? Do you think that they say, okay, let's vote him out now? He's got no idols.
You're the one who always says, like, no, don't expect gratitude from anyone. That's a law of survivor power. I don't think you're going to.
But if he went to Ozzy and said, here, Ozzy, here's a hidden immunity idol. I want to be with you 100% of the way. Hey, Ozzy, here's 2 hidden immunity idols. I want you to take me under your wing. Let's go to the final 2 together. You don't think that means something to Ozzy? You don't think it gets tied to a point where that sort of changes his image around?
It shows that he's been hiding idols, and he's kind of like so all over the place that he's just. But you don't mean give idols. You mean like share idols. You mean like, I've got these idols. This could be you and me all the way.
I was talking about literally giving the idols. I'm just saying that Ty is such an exception to the rule. Like, just like we're talking about with Debbie. Okay, we've identified Debbie's weaknesses in the game, much like Cochran was able to do with her. So since she's bad at this part of the game, she should do this, where she should, try to help out her group so that people have positive feelings towards her. Ty is so bad at having a poker face and lying about things. He should give away anything that is forcing him to lie or to make snap decisions.
You're really big on this. Like, I told Ty before the season that he shouldn't lie to anybody. But if this is just his way, this is who he is. Stop trying to change him, Rob, and embrace him for who he is.
He made it to the finals the first time and got 0 votes because people felt like that they couldn't trust him. This way, at least he's sort of trying to correct his image in the game.
First of all, there's nothing wrong with making it to the finals and getting 0 votes. Second of all,
I forgot.
Second of all,
you have to tailor the advice. It's not like the Survivor rules is not like a one size fits all.
I agree, but I don't think if he gives away his idols, they're still going to find him squirrely. So now he's squirrely and he has no idols.
Yeah, he's got 2. Give 1 away.
Okay, but I just the giving away an idol thing seems to me like crazy. Like, you're not actually buying any leverage with it. I love sharing an idol. As you know, I'm a big fan of that move. Like, hey, this is our idol. Let's use this together. I want to double down with you. That's why I'm sharing this information with you and nobody else. Maybe I don't know if that would work with Ozzy. Certainly after he has just tried to vote him out.
So appreciative of getting an idol from Ty.
Right after he tried to vote him out, like if someone tried to vote me out,
you have to smooth this over, Stephen. What's your plan? I keep doing what he's doing.
If someone, I think wait to the merge and then vote out Ozzy. I mean, with the merge, Ty's going to be less of a big threat, right? If someone tries to vote you out, hey guys, everyone, let's vote for Cesternino. And then the next day he's like, actually, idol for you. Like, you don't trust him. He just tried to vote you out. You just think, great, I got an idol from you. Now I know that you're untrustworthy and erratic, and I want you out. I still want you out. And now I have an idol. Thank you for the idol.
You really, if you were in the game with somebody and they handed you a hidden immunity idol
Immediately after trying to vote me out?
say, Stephen, look, mea culpa here. I got so paranoid. I didn't know what to do.
Right.
I need to make this right with you, Stephen.
Yeah.
I feel so terribly about how things, I want to go to the end with you. Here's what I want to do. I'm giving you a hidden immunity idol. I found this. It was at the beach. I'll show you where I found it. And let's just try to get back on the same page. I want to work with you until the end of the game.
But you still know you can't trust that person. You've gotten the thing from them. Now I have your idol.
But you know you can't trust all these people.
But you move forward with the people who you do feel like who are you're simpatico with. And I think you see that with like Zeke, Andrea, and Ozzy. Like this little group is like simpatico with each other. And those are the people who you end up working with, or the people you feel connected to. Jiving this. We've talked about this before. And, just because Ty gives you an idol doesn't mean you're suddenly going to be his ally. It just means like, you've given me your idol. Thank you. And now I still want you gone.
Okay. I'm not saying that this is the right thing for everybody to take, right.
You're just trying to set it up so that if you go back, people are handing you idols all the time.
No, I'll be giving my idols away to people that keep me around. That's what I'm going to be doing. Okay, I'll be like Secret Santa of idols. Alex Wilpon says, why have the editors chosen to leave no suspense about which tribe is going to tribal this season? Have you felt this way, Stephen? Do you feel like that you know who's going to tribal before you even get to the immunity challenge?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess they set it up with, with the whole Sandra thing. I mean, I haven't actually been, I was so taken by the Debbie thing and with Cochran that I don't think I was necessarily, predicting.
I don't think it was that lopsided. I'll take a look when I rewatch the episode and see if there was not enough stuff going on. I mean, I guess we only saw what was happening with Brad and Troyzan over there, and we got to see more of the action happening at the new Mana tribe. But, we did spend so much time with Cochran and Debbie. So, all right. Double question. Is Ty one of the worst to ever play? He can never shut his mouth. Is Ty the greatest player ever, Ian asks. Finalists dragged Aubrey and Mark to the end the first time, and now slayed Malcolm and Sandra and holding 2 idols. Okay.
I mean, he did slay Malcolm.
Right. That he was that again, I don't think that he slayed idol. He is amazing at one aspect of the game, which is finding the hidden immunity idol. He's great at finding the idols. He had an advantage in Survivor Cochran. He's really great at that part of the game. In terms of the strategic part, we saw him make a mistake where he told Jeff Varner that Sandra was going to get voted off. We saw him be bad at Tribal Council. So
that moment when he told Varner was so great. And then like Andrew's like, or Sarah, I think asked like, oh, did you tell Varner? And he's like, yeah. Like he didn't even think twice about it,
Right. And I love having Ty on this season. Also, Josh Wigler talks about this a lot. The idea of like the survivor bomb. How do the players react? You have all these gamers out there and then react to disarming Ty. And he always has a hidden immunity idol. How do you handle that real wild card that's always in the game?
Like Abby.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun, and it really keeps everybody on their toes. So definitely not even close is Ty the worst Survivor player. He has one area of the game that he is excellent at, and perhaps the best at. So there's so many
on track to be the best ever.
Yeah, and there's so many Survivor players that are bad at all aspects of the game. Do not even include Ty on your list of worst players.
Yeah, Ty made it to the end.
He's a lovely man. He's a great guy.
And a great guy. He won the first ever SIA award.
Right. He's just a very bad liar and has no poker face. And can't keep a secret.
Can't keep a secret, bad liar, no poker face.
Yeah, that's what, that's the problem. All right. So let me ask Scott if we have any other questions. Otherwise, we'll start to wind this thing down here.
Last question. Chris Fernandez wants to know how much of tonight's tribal was a last-minute audible from Zeke once Ty spilled the beans about Sandra.
I don't know. I don't know how necessarily we change things from what it was to that. I mean, it's just like there's just a lot that we don't know. Maybe we can ask Sandra in exit interview of exactly how it got back to her after it looked like she was going to pull this off.
Yeah. Okay. I'm very curious. I'm very curious to read Sandra's exit.
All right, let's do one last.
Or listen to whatever it is you do. Laura, go ahead.
Laura Survivor, is it disappointing that Debbie got the Cochran assistance? Imagine the conversation if it was Zeke or Aubrey or Andrea. Well,
that would have been great.
I'm not. Why Zeke or Aubrey with Cochran? What's
I
the
think like
connection there?
another strategic super fan, right?
Yeah.
Like then they can actually like have a strategy conversation versus
Yeah.
Debbie's like, nope, I'm fine, I'm good.
Well, the really fun one would have been if it was Ozzy, where Ozzy, we've got a
Getting
reward for
advice.
you. Good news, Ozzy. Here you go. You thought this was everything. Hey, let's bring in Cochran. Ozzy's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah, I think actually Debbie was hilarious because she showed so much love for Cochran, but also because their personalities were so diametrically opposed. I think you had that really great moment where she started crying and he hugged her and kind of did the back pat. And it would have been great if it were Andrea, old friends, Zeke and Aubrey. I think they got pretty lucky. There's some that could have just been really bad, right?
Yeah, like what? What would have been the worst TV Cochran?
I guess like Ty, right? Like wouldn't have been great. What about Sandra? That would have been funny. Would that have been funny?
Sandra loves Cochran.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Yeah, that would have been fun. I think it's almost hard to find a bad pair there. I think that Cochran and anybody, I think it probably would have been funny.
Yeah,
he's a good foil for anybody.
Yeah, Michaela.
So, Michaela and Cochran would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Yeah, I mean Cochran's just funny, so it's easy.
Interestingly, I thought that Cochran threw a little bit of shade at Brad Culpepper, talking about Brad beating his chest. Little payback from, I believe it was the Survivor Blood versus Water premiere, when Brad Culpepper says that he's tired of Cochran and girls just winning this game.
Yeah.
I may be misquoting him, but that was basically
it was something like that. Yeah, good recollection. I'm impressed.
Okay. All right, so now they're even. All right, Stephen. So Fishy to Zeke. Check out Stephen's blog at Stephen Fishbach on Twitter. What else?
Who gets the Cesty?
Well, who played the worst tonight? Ty. Even though he found another immunity idol, I think crazy. That he's not playing great. I mean, he needs to keep it simple and just be a nice, likable man. So in terms of I've another big announcement, Stephen.
Oh my God, what?
Well, I teased this when we were in New York about our next tour stop. How you and I are going to be up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Do I have that right? It's got Toronto, Canada. We are going to be doing the Know-It-Alls live on May 10th. 2017 at the Sheridan Center. It's going to be a very exciting night, and I will give out a link for tickets.
Are we doing black tie?
I don't think it's black tie. I think you can wear a suit and tie. Go to robhasawebsite.com.
Tux and tails required. If you do not have a top hat, you will not be allowed into the venue.
Go to robhasawebsite.com/Toronto KIA. Tickets are scarce, okay? That there is a good chance that their tickets will be sold out very soon. You can get on a waiting list, and very excited about that. And then on that Thursday night, on May 11th, I will be hosting a Big Brother Canada 5 live eviction show, or eviction show. They don't do them live, at the same venue, the Sheridan Center. Be on the lookout of myself, plus the LFC, plus a number of Toronto area Big Brother Canada house guests. You can go and get those tickets at robhasawebsite.com/Toronto BBCan. That's robhasawebsite.com/Toronto BBCan. All right.
Thursday night I will be on a plane home.
Stephen Fishbach will not be attending the event. That we may have to tie Stephen up and force him to watch an episode of Big Brother Canada. So be on the lookout for that. All right, Stephen. So much to get to. We've got our exit interview with Sandra. I've got Stapley coming in. Jessica Leese, my co-host for the amazing Race RHAP Up. She will be my voicemail guest this week. And then you could watch me live 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific on the CBS Survivor Facebook page, where I believe we will be talking with Sandra and a special guest.
Is it Cochran?
Special guest, Stephen. That's all I'm at liberty to say.
Oh,
okay. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. Of course, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Rob Cesternino. Stephen, anything else tonight?
No, this was great. This was fun.
This was a fun show. We got into some stuff. Didn't see eye to eye on everything, but it was some fun conversation. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. RHAP.com/iTunes. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.